So I want to welcome you guys to the ultimate guide to selling t-shirts at events webinar. My name is Dave. I have over a decade, well over a decade now, of experience in the apparel printing industry. Pretty much any way you could put ink on a substrate, I've been there and done it, from offset printing to digital printing, dye sublimation, direct to garment, screen printing, of course, with my start in the screen printing industry, starting on my kitchen table and learning how to screen print the old fashioned way, to working with huge 16 platen carousel presses and beyond. So I saw the direct to garment revolution come, and I'm very proud to be a part of the direct to film revolution that's kind of going on right now. But my heart and soul, I feel like, will always be with plastisol inks and screen printing. And that's just one of the things we'll talk about here today. Now, we're not going to really talk a lot about heat transfer types because I want this education here today to be solely focused on your success going to an event, whether you vended at an event before or if you are just looking to get into those vendor shows or holiday markets, the flea markets that I know are really popular here in the Northeast Ohio area. But you see these pop up everywhere across the country. So as a decorator, regardless if you're going to those events or maybe a sports tournament or any school events, there are plenty of opportunities to be printing on site. I don't want to get past this first slide without mentioning Mike behind the scenes in the chat section. He'll be showing up to answer any questions because we just have so much content to get through today. I will be looking at the chat section and answering the questions that I can, but some of those, sometimes if the chat goes by too fast and I don't have the time to scroll back down in, he'll be able to answer those questions, provide direct links. If I'm talking about something specific, Mike will be able to pull a link and give it to you so you could see that there. Kathy's here, and that's why I say some friendly, familiar faces with us. Kathy met us down in the Impression show in Fort Worth, so we'll be back there to see Kathy again in just a little bit. Let's see. Checking in from Canton, Ohio, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Check us out for the induction events. Absolutely. So we're talking about events right there, and I hope there's live printing on site because sports is a great opportunity for, number one, personalization, which we're going to get into in just a little bit, but that's the names, the numbers, stuff like that. We did an activation as stalls with Hugo Boss at the NFL draft. So using heat printing technology to not only put names on the jerseys, but also numbers. So you could get this personalized apparel. Now that was a special event where we weren't charging a premium, but if you're doing it on site at a tournament or a sporting event or just a local community event, absolutely, you should be charging money to put those names and numbers on shirts. So that's great. So Andre, checking in, Pro Football Hall of Fame down there in Canton. I've been there. It's very nice. Right off 77 as you're driving through. But enough about the small talk. Let's dive in. We got an action-packed agenda as usual here today for our selling t-shirts at events. So with our agenda, we're going to be covering a few basic things as we go through the presentation here today. And again, if you have any questions at any point in this, please leave them over in the chat section because I want to try to answer them. And that's the beauty of these interactive webinars. If you have a specific scenario or a specific question, even if it's maybe not related to what we're covering here today, we love to help you out. So I'm here for you. Mike's here for you and the rest of the team. Even if you think of something after, just email us, info@transferexpress.com, or give us a call. The number's on the website right at the bottom in the footer in just the contact us page. But we are ready. You could even text us. You could live chat on the website. So there's a ton of helpful ways to get in contact with us, and we want to be here for you. That ain't no lie, right? So we're going to talk about choosing your event and kind of even why you would go to an event, but things to look for. We're going to talk about creating some designs and just some basic tips and tricks for success. And of course, when you're in a crowded market environment, you want to be sure that you're creating something eye-catching that's going to stop somebody in their tracks, right? We're going to talk about the products to offer and what's going to go into that decision based on your markets or the time of year, stuff like that. We'll talk about the display, and I like to look at the display of your booth as your storefront. So even if you're just an online store, this is an extension of your brand. You want to make it look like your brand. You want to communicate like your brand. So they have this cohesive experience, whether they're your customers are used to interacting with you on social media, or this is the first time that they're being introduced to your brand. This first impression is your only opportunity to make a first impression with these new customers. So it is a great opportunity, and it just takes some thought to put into it to make sure you're going to be doing it right. Of course, we're talking about print on demand without a heat press. It takes a lot to print online or on site at events. I've been there and done it. I've done some activations with some previous print shops that I've worked at that did use screen printing. So burning screens and bringing an entire press. I mean, it was crated and it was just a little 4-station press, but it had to be crated and shipped to the event. So adding tons of expense, whereas like a heat press, which the next time we did it, we just brought a heat press and some heat transfers, allowing customization and a nice interactive experience, which I'll talk about when we get to that interactive experience. And then, of course, some promotions and activations that are really going to help you stand apart, get more brand awareness for you, and possibly drive some more traffic to your booth, and maybe even some more profit in your pocket, because that's what it's all about, right? Whether you're, just a hobbyist and looking to make a little bit of cash on the side, or moving into your full-time 9 to 5. And I'll stop right there. We have a new heat press transformation. So again, on our YouTube series, a new heat press transformation that's going to be coming out. We just went out to Salt Lake City to film it. And so we're working on it now, but it was an incredible story of this decorator, Justin Leader. He owns JC Pro Design in Salt Lake City. But essentially, he went from a silhouette machine and a heat press in his living room to now multiple spaces, automatic presses, a huge like heat print department where he's doing online store fulfillment and all this stuff. But it started with a silhouette cutter and a heat press in his living room. And over the past 6-7 years, I mean, he's really only been doing it 4 or 5 years full time. But over those few short years, he's got just a gigantic company, 13 employees. And we're going to spotlight that in a video series coming up here in our heat press transformation. We did go out to Ivyland, Pennsylvania and Campus Close for our first version of that. And that's over on the Stalls TV YouTube channel. So go over there, watch it. Maybe after this. Stick with me now. I'm live. Right? So let's jump right in. We covered the agenda. And right here, I do want to call out in our slides, we have Eddie Thompson and Thompson t-shirts with his trailer that he brings to events to do event sales. Everything all in there. And I think we have some more photos of the inside of the trailer. But Eddie's nice enough to share those. Again, another thing, our Heat Press for Profit community and the Easy Prints decorators group. We have 2 groups on Facebook, both private groups. So you're not going to be able to blow up your spot asking questions. But that's one thing I really love about the apparel decorating community is it truly is a community. And I talked about standing out from the competition, and right, and the economy that we live in now is so national or even global that it's just so heartwarming to see other decorators who are sometimes in competition with each other, just going out of their way to help out. So that's another place to get great advice and just read through that like a forum and see how people are using specific transfers. Or if you have a specific question, to ask it about blank headwear or what transfer type should I use? What's everybody's opinion on this? It is absolutely phenomenal and great engagement over there. So, but that's where we got these photos from. Eddie, a wonderful member of our Easy Prints Decorators group. And so, yeah. Oh, awesome. Mike threw the video in the chat right there. And if you're watching the replay here on YouTube, it'll be down in the description. So let's just jump right in. The first thing that I want to talk about is why you are going to events, right? So number one is going to be brand awareness, especially if you're just a young brand just starting out. It's a great way to get your brand out there and expose yourself to either your local community, if you're doing a local event, or your specific niche. So what I'm saying is, say you focus a lot on sports apparel and spirit wear, fan gear, school gear, go to games. You could go to the sports fans, right? So you know that they're there. Maybe it's a just local vendor craft show. You're getting that local audience, especially even if you're a custom decorator, you could go and still print shirts on site. And then those attendees there have businesses, landscaping businesses. Maybe their corporation is looking for new employee uniforms, or they own a restaurant and need aprons or whatever it may be. But you're able to get in front of people. So that's one of the great reasons to show up to an event, just to get your brand out there. Of course, when you could target that niche audience, like say you're, you want to get into motorsports apparel and you show up to local races, to be able to get your name out there in front of the not only the attendees, but then the drivers too. So you could see that this just goes exponential, and that goes the same way for like the sports too. You're going to get in front of the coaches, you're going to get in front of the fans. So next year when they need uniforms, you gave them the business card, you sold them that t-shirt or whatever it may be, and now they're going to come back to you. So a great opportunity, regardless if you are a brand or a custom decorator, which I'll ask you guys, let us know in the chat section if you are running a brand or if you're a custom decorator or a mix of both, because I know there's a ton out there that kind of supplement their own brand with custom decorating and vice versa. So let me know so I could kind of tailor a little bit more of this presentation to the majority of the audience here. So just to let you know. And so, yeah, I see Mike throwing the group chat up in there as well to get you guys hooked up with those. So those are great opportunities to kind of collaborate with fellow decorators there. So I ask you in there. So a bit of both, branding, and a bit of both. So we'll keep it at both here. I see a little bit more coming through. So custom decorator working on my brand. See, that's the thing, is like, it's a great opportunity. And sometimes that transactional printing, those customers just keep the lights on, but your real heart and soul, lies with your own brand. And that is A-okay. We're here to help you out. And I'll tailor this to help us all out. I see Charity's doing custom, sharing with both. Custom decorator would like to get into more markets, do a lot for our local schools. So yeah, Rebecca, that's absolutely fantastic. Schools are a great place to start, especially in your local community, because they're going to look for local connections that they have. If your children are in the school district, or friends and family members that are staff or teachers there, it's a great foot in the door. And if you're just the decorator looking to get that work, show up to the PTA meetings, show that you're involved in the community, and I guarantee that's going to make a huge difference, and that's gonna get their attention versus like just a faceless custom ink that's out there on the internet, right? And so even if you are charging a little bit more, or maybe you could even undercut them a little bit less than like those national suppliers, you're going to win that business. So really, really cool. So yeah, my branding is thrifter because my kids like going to the thrift shop. That's awesome. Branding. That's awesome. High school athlete spirit wear. So perfect. So this is going to be perfect for you here, Marie, with the event printing here. Hopefully we'll set you up with steps. So Erica says, yeah, I want to get into schools as well, but it's so competitive, which is why I'm here. Yes. And so this event printing could be one of the things that their current supplier does not do. And this is your foot in the door. Sure, it might not be those big bulk runs up front, but it could turn into that, right? So showing up to the athletic booster meetings, showing up to the events, this is where you're going to win over whoever they're currently printing with. And then I guarantee they're going to go at one point, like, we just really want to consolidate this. They do such a great job at events. Let's go ahead and put it in there. So, and then you get all of the business, and that's going to be, and then it goes from one school to another school to another school. We have a great video on printing for schools over on our YouTube channel. And even like sometimes you'll run into those schools that have the programs inside the school itself, like a high school. Usually like middle schools, elementary schools don't have that kind of stuff, but high schools sometimes have a spirit store run by the actual students, which we went and visited one here locally and talked to Stacy Starcher, who runs the spirit store just right down the road at a local high school and has the students work on it. So like, that's going to be a hard one to break into as a custom decorator, but I guarantee they still have needs that they're not able to produce in-house that you're going to be able to do. So just stay persistent, and I guarantee it's going to pay off for you if you approach it with the right way. And like I mentioned, events are the right way. So let's get back to our slides here. Of course, revenue is one reason to go. You want to make profit, and people are showing up to these events. So you don't have to bring your own audience. The audience is going to be there built in, and they have cash in hand ready to buy. A lot of these are markets or events where people know that there are vendors going to be there. So they're bringing money, and they're bringing, more importantly, the mindset and I'm ready to purchase. So if you could get something in front of them, get them on a deal, get them on some promotion, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, that's going to get them to buy. And they will have absolutely no problem spending money with you, which spending money with you equals profit, right? So another great aspect of being in front of people at these events is offering a personalized experience, whether it be just, hey, I'm putting mom or dad on the back with some numbers to match their kid's jersey on the field, that's some personalization, or even allowing full customization. One of the activations I was involved with was with Juxtapose Magazine, Art Basel, and Adidas in Miami, Florida. So we made transfers and they were actually goof-proof, screen printed transfers, right? This was long before I came here to Stalls, but or Transfer Express long before I came here, but we used goof-proof screen printed transfers, and we essentially took artists' artwork and had them all cut out so that there were some few elements, but we allowed everybody who came to the booth to essentially make their own art. So it was a nice interactive experience. And then they handed over the shirt with everything placed on it, pressed it, and they got a shirt to take home that they played a role in creating. It was super unique, and you cannot get them anywhere else other than right there at that time. So it makes this personalized experience that's interactive and so much fun and memorable. Imagine being a brand that creates a memorable experience like that. Now, every time they reach for that shirt, they're going to remember that event and your booth, right? So great opportunity for putting like inside branding on these or hang tags. We'll get to that in a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But of course, printing on site too allows for less risk with, pre-printed inventory. So when you're printing, I see that I'm covering some of the slides here with my little bubble, but essentially printing on demand is going to reduce the risk of having to buy that bulk pre-printed run up front. And especially if, say, you're doing like a local arts festival and you're printing the arts festival shirt all at once. Say the event organizer says, well, last year 8,000 people came, and you're like, all right, 8,000 shirts it is. Or maybe not 8,000 shirts, let's say 25% of 8,000 is going to buy. So what, 2,000 shirts, right? So like 2,000 shirts it is, let's go. And then it rains and only 1,000 people show up, right? Now you're sitting on all that inventory that has a date stamped on it that's not going to sell. So you reduce that risk by just being able to buy the blanks up front, right? So you could buy all 2,000 blanks up front, and then you just buy the transfers. But you're not marrying them together until somebody buys it. And that's when you're printing the shirt and it's going out. So you're reducing the financial investment instead of having to pay for all of that printing, right? And then all of those shirts, say if they're a navy or a black, boom, they go right back onto your shelves back at the shop, so that you could use them for another project. It's not wasted inventory. And of course, if you have a lot of inventory left over, a lot of blank wholesale suppliers will take them back for a small restocking fee. So it's not that money that you essentially could just leave on the table and then you're in the hole, which I don't want that to happen to any small business, let alone an apparel decorator if we could help it. So it's really great. It also is really attractive for printing on site, just like I mentioned in that art festival example, to reduce the risk for event organizers too, where they're like, we don't have the money to like really throw in on all these shirts. Could we do it? Could we do less? And you don't necessarily want to leave those sales on the table of people who want to buy shirts right now. You have them standing in front of you, cash in hand, and you go, well, we're sold out, So this allows a lot greater flexibility. Terry, will Dave talk about percentages of sizes and apparel to buy? You betcha. You betcha, right? We're going to talk about apparel styles and a general breakdown of our sizing rule. Now, we've put this to practice all the time. If you are familiar with the Transfer Express Toast to Transfers event, which is a live event, we sell just a prepackaged little kit, and it's like some guided walkthrough decorating. Think of like a wine and design night or like the wine and paint happy hours. It's kind of like that, but instead of painting or drawing, we're heat printing, right? So all you need is your heat press. You get the kit and you could press along with all of the samples or just watch along. We're going to be releasing a new one of those. The next one, I believe, is at the end of July. So keep an eye out for the next kit coming. It's all about trends. So it's going to be covering a whole bunch of trends. So if you want just trending apparel to wear or kind of bolster your showroom with some current trends, great opportunity there. So coming. So Lori says, yeah, run a generator, a must for outdoor events. We're going to be getting there in just a second. Don't get ahead of us, which just lets me know, let's get rolling, right? So let's talk about choosing your event and what you're going to do planning out, right? There's a lot of things to consider when you're looking at going to an event. Sure, if it's kind of more just like a sporting tournament, you just have to get with the event organizers and you already kind of know your target market, right? So that's a perfect segue here into our target market or niche. So you want to consider the audience of who's going to it and does it make sense for you, right? So if you are if you're a brand focusing in like dog apparel and it's a cat show, maybe not the best fit. Now, that was a super weird example, but you kind of get the gist of what, you're not going to go to an arts festival if you're a sporting goods dealer, So you want to make sure that it relates to your audience. It's going to be worthwhile with a lot of that brand exposure, right? The attendance. Look at the attendance and look at the traffic. A lot of traffic is built in, but is the event well attended? So previous years, you could ask about it. You could ask vendors who went previous years. Sometimes you'll see like a Facebook group of people vending at it, or just for the event. Look for photos. So just see if there's a lot of foot traffic, and just kind of things to keep in mind there to gauge again how much apparel you're going to bring, and also realistic expectations of what you're going to get out of it. Now, say an event has 200 people at it, and let's just take that 25% purchase rate, the conversion rate, right, of an event, and say there's 200 people there, right? Is it going to be worth to drive across the state and rent a van and transport all your gear to sell at best like 50 shirts? That's up to you, but that's stuff to consider when you are looking at it. So look at those attendance, because if it's like, oh no, we had 8,000 people last year and it's a 6-hour drive, like, yeah, count me in, I'm coming, right? I know that 15 to 20% of people are absolutely going to be buying. So it's worthwhile for me to show up, especially if you're one of the only vendors selling, say, printed apparel or t-shirts on site, right? So also look at the promotions of what the event organizer allows you to do. Sometimes they'll allow you to email the list. Sometimes they'll email for you. Sometimes they'll shout you out on social media, and they have 50,000 people who follow them over the years who have attended the event, where you're just starting out and maybe just have a couple thousand or a couple hundred followers on social media. So a great way to get some exposure that makes a difference in saying, well, yeah, I'll go to this event. Yeah, the attendance is, a little low, but their social reach is great. So I'm hoping to get a lot of brand exposure pre and post show with that. So again, another thing to consider too is the cost. When we break it down to profit, you want to be looking at any exhibitor fees. Sometimes it's very expensive. Sometimes it's completely free. Sometimes those sporting tournaments see this as a great experience for the fans coming to the event. They'll bring food vendors and stuff on where you might not have to pay a fee to show up, but you may have to pay commissions on sales back to the event organizer. I know not necessarily an arts festival, but an air show here locally in town does that. So you have to pay for the event space, and then you also have to pay commission on sales. So it's going to be detailed in the contract when you do talk to the event organizer. So just be aware that's something to look for, right? And then, of course, when we talk about costs, if you do have to travel, like I mentioned, getting the rental van, the U-Haul that you could put everything in, and of course, lodging. So not only, you have to pay for hotels, but you have to pay for gas. You have to pay for the rental. You have to pay for whatever else it may be, the food and beverage that you're going to have while you're out at the event. So you just want to make sure that you're taking into consideration all of these things when you're choosing your event. So like I mentioned, researching, is it going to fit your target audience? The number one most important thing to look at when you're doing this, So number one, most important. Number two, you could attend the event or look at past years to really get a feel for how many people are coming, and talking to those other vendors or event organizers. And a lot of times the event organizers are going to be transparent with you and just tell you, hey, yeah, in 2019, things were great. We had 8,000 people here. 2020, we had none because it was COVID. 2021, it started bouncing back. 2022 looked really good, and we are almost at those same levels. So we are expecting this year to be better than last year and back to pre-pandemic levels, stuff like that. They will tell you all about it. And so you could use them as a resource, not just allowing the other vendors to tell you about it. Now, if you want that extra perspective, I like synthesizing those two views together to go, what does the event organizer say? And what does a past vendor say? So we do it with a lot of the shows that we go to as Transfer Express installs. And we talk to other vendors when we're looking at new shows to exhibit at, to say, like, is this going to be worth it? What did you guys think last year? And they're like, wow, the foot traffic was nonstop. And we're like, say no more, fam. We're in, right? And so then we're going to be going to the event. So another great touch point, like I mentioned, about those checking with the event organizer if they do social media promotions, or if they do email promotions, or any online promotion for you as a business as promotion for the event. Just go look at the old social media. Go pull up the Instagram. Go pull up the Facebook page for that event and see what vendors they've shouted out in the past. Because maybe in that pitch deck, they say, oh, yeah, we're totally going to shout you out on social media. But you could clearly see that they haven't shouted out a single company in 6 years. So it's like, Are they going to? I wouldn't expect them to if they didn't last year, right? Unless they've never done it before and they're just testing it this year and they promise you. It's very, 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 very important to keep in mind here. So when we're choosing our event, these are some great events here to look at. So I know a few of us here in the chat, we're talking about doing sports and local high schools, the athletics. So school events are a great spot to start as a local community if you're unsure of what's going to be the best fit, because you're getting your local community, and especially if you're a custom decorator or a local focused brand, let's go, right? Because then you could get your local pride out there along with some spirit wear or like fan gear specifically tailored to the event, the sport, the school, whatever it may be. So sports are a great spot to start. Tournaments. I know it's summer season. There's a lot of like baseball tournaments out there, the little league tournaments, all of the soccer camps. You could get out there where there's going to be parents and there's going to be the athletes. You could get in front of them with some spirit wear and some personalization. I know my mom, her favorite hoodie when I played football in high school was the team on the front, Lakewood, right? Lakewood Rangers, right? So Lakewood on the front, and she had mom on the back with my number. So she was able to show the pride that, oh, that's my son out there who just made that sack, right? Yes, right. I had a great football career. That's why I'm in the NFL. Nope, we're just printing at the draft. So we're still kind of with the NFL, right? So then orientations. So middle school orientations, a lot of times they want to equip the kids with some spirit wear right away, get them jazzed about going to school there and get that school spirit and school pride up there. So a great opportunity right there, right? So the fun runs, if they're hosting any 5Ks or a walkathon, stuff like that. The spirit events, of course, when they have the rallies for the big games, or maybe your local teams going to states. Spoiler alert, my high school football team never went to states. We made the playoffs 1 year, right? So, but those are good events to get onto if you live in a community with a great athletic program. And of course, seniors, whether there's senior events like prom or after prom, the school trips sometimes that they go on, as well as just, hey, I'm out of here, senior pride, a great opportunity for custom printing. Now, of course, local events and beyond, we're talking antique shows, car shows, dog shows. I said cat shows earlier, right? Art shows, festivals, carnivals, the local fairs. I know there's one coming up right down the road from me. They do it every summer, right? Every summer around the 4th of July holiday. It's the 4th of July weekend, a huge festival, carnival rides, funnel cakes, my favorite. And of course, there are custom t-shirts there as well. So music events, a lot of on-site printing you'll see at music festivals. So if your city's having a local music festival and doesn't have like an official merch vendor, of course the bands will be coming in, but sometimes they'll sell just the festival shirt itself that you could get on and get that work and print on site, which that's one of those opportunities where you're like, hey, you don't have to buy that bulk inventory up front. We're going to reduce the cost. Yes, we'll still have to pay for the transfers, which are cheaper than a finished t-shirt, and the t-shirts themselves, which, again, are fairly inexpensive when you're not talking about printing them and possibly wasting them. So you can still reuse them or maybe just cut the date off the festival, cut the lineup off of the bands and try to use it next year and stuff too, right? But that's one tip that I will add is when you're doing festivals and events, try to put a year on there, right? Because then that makes it unique to that year and something a little different. So if somebody attends every year after year after year, they like to keep those shirts as a memory of that event, right? So that's what I always like to say, whether it's, I was in a band for a long time, which is why I started screen printing in the first place, but people love to get that memory. They'll buy a t-shirt as a memory of a memorable event, something they want to believe in or want to represent them walking around, a conversation starter, whatnot, or just like, I love this band, I love this event, I love this city, and I want to wear my pride for it literally on my chest, right? So it's a great thing, and that's why people buy t-shirts here, and that's why events are such a great opportunity for apparel decorators. And of course, cheer, dance competitions, like I mentioned, local speedways, local automotive events, like the car shows, and just a ton of stuff. Any event that you could think of, there's probably a need for some custom apparel in that, right? So Carmela, the right here, I need help creating the transfers. That's something I could help with. I don't know the right sizing for the shirts or I mean, even placement, right? Head on over to our Transfer Express YouTube page. Right on the homepage, there is sizing, there is placement, and there are great like 10-minute videos that are super in-depth on anything you need to know. So you could say like, oh, 11 inches wide. I know what 11 inches wide looks like. I know how to place a left chest graphic. There are tons of resources that we have there that are on demand, available to help you out, Carmela. So we are here to help. Just Transfer Express on YouTube, click on the channel, and you'll see that we have tons of guides there. Of course, if you want to go over to Transfer Express, the help section, there's a whole bunch of guides in there as well. So let's talk about planning the event. One thing to check for is what are they going to provide for you? Sometimes it's a lot of stuff. Sometimes you have to pay to get a extension cord ran to your booth, right? So do they provide generators if it's an outside event? Do you have to bring your own? They have power available, or do you have to bring your own? Do you have to pay for it? How do you pay for it? How could I buy it? Because you want to buy this stuff up front. So when you're setting up your booth, you're not like, oh no, there's not power. Especially if you're bringing a heat press, you want to make sure it's a 15 amp, 120 volt dedicated outlet, right? So you need to ask that, hey, is this going to be 15 volt or 15 amp dedicated? And sometimes they say, no, we can't do that. And sometimes they say, yeah, it's extra, or yeah, of course it is, or let me check. Because you're going to want to make sure, especially if that is going to be the backbone, that is the heart, right? That is the heart of your booth. And if it's not able to stay up to temperature because it doesn't have the right amperage, or worst case scenario, you trip the breaker and the entire place goes dark while it's filled with hundreds of people, right? And it's your fault. I won't tell anybody it's your fault, okay? But just want to make sure that your power supply and your power requirements are thought about. Even if you don't buy it when you're setting up the booth and you're scrambling around trying to find the event organizer, hey, who could I find to buy that power? You just want to eliminate it, get it done up front. So keep that contract, keep those requirements in line. Of course, tables and chairs. There are some times where you could rent tables and chairs. Sometimes they're actually provided for you. I've worked at a few arts festivals that they say we'll give two chairs and a table to every single booth. Now, they didn't provide the canopies, but they said we'll give you a table and chairs. So it was helping small artists and decorators out who maybe don't have those things. So it just makes it a little bit more attractive to show up for. Of course, there's going to be some other stuff like tablecloths that they're probably never going to provide you, but some larger shows may do it to kind of have a more uniform look around the entire show floor. So backdrops, displays, are there height restrictions? Are there canopy restrictions? Maybe, like I mentioned, that arts festival didn't provide canopies, but sometimes at these shows, they will actually provide tents or like give you a designated area in like a 20 by 20 tent to set up in a little corner of it. So you want to be sure that they're going to be providing that, whether you need to bring your own canopy or it's going to be set up for you when you show up, right? Flooring, carpet, mats. It's one thing if you're just outdoors and you're over, say, like grass, it's not that taxing. But if you've ever stood on a concrete floor for 8 hours, boy, do your feet hurt. So bringing a little piece of a little rubber like work mat where you're going to be standing, you're going to thank yourself later. Of course, carpet too could set you apart. A rug. There was one of these slides right back here. Where was this one at? Let me go back just a couple slides. There is this rug on the floor that not only, now it's just grass, right? So it's not going to be super taxing to stand on, but not only is it providing a little bit of creature comfort, but it's adding a great branded aesthetic that really ties the entire storefront together. And that's what I'm talking about when you're talking about these storefronts and giving your customers this branded experience, that first impression, right? You get that rug in there and it just makes everything. So that's an extreme example, but I'm glad I thought of that as we were talking about it, right? Again, insurance. Back it up to the restrictions of what they require. Sometimes there's extra fire insurance or hazard insurance. And sometimes when you're printing on site with a heat press, that's stuff to look for. So if somebody accidentally touches the heat press, which we'll talk about the best positioning for your heat press, spoiler alert, it's away from where children could touch it. People are curious. Children are curious. They touch things, and you just don't want them touching something that's 350 degrees, 360 degrees, right? Just want to avoid it in all, but sometimes you have to buy insurance through the expo or through the exhibition service through the event. And sometimes they require you to bring your own, which you usually get through a business insurance. And sometimes they require specific permits. Some cities and locations and events may pull permits for vendors just as a blanket for the entire event. Sometimes, like something maybe more like a sports tournament, you may need to get a reseller like street vendor permit from the city. These are things to check into, because before you load up the U-Haul, you set up the booth at the tournament. It looks great for the city to show up and go, well, where's your permit? And it's a Sunday. City Hall's closed. You're not getting a permit approved today. And they say, well, you got to shut it down. After you put all that work into prep, you bought supplies, you bought materials, check. It's just one email that you could send. It's one phone call you can make that is peace of mind, and it gets you on the legal way of doing things. And then when, say, you know, the city comes knocking, hey, where's your permit? And you go, here it is. And they go, oh, perfect. Looks great. Carry on. Oh, that shirt looks awesome. Could I buy one? Right. That's best case scenario, right? But that's things to think about, because I've heard horror stories from decorators where just it's heartbreaking. The work you put into this event just to get shut down a couple minutes after you started, right? So things to look out for. You don't necessarily need those, you know, sometimes for these larger organized events, but say you're vending at a local, you know, tournament at just a city park, right? You're probably going to need to get a permit to sell on public land there. So things to keep in mind. Christy has, I saw Lindsay said, good idea, Christy. Made a mock-up for the customer showing both placements and asked what they prefer. Help sell them as well as they feel that you are going above and beyond to deliver exactly what they want. Mock-ups are a great thing. Look at you guys. Who needs the community? It's right here, right? This is what I'm talking about. Love the community of decorators here. And thank you guys for joining and sharing some ideas here. That's great. But yes, mock-ups are very, very important for selling. And we actually have a video on our YouTube page talking all about how you can make mock-ups for free. That's right. Mock-ups you could email to your customer, mock-ups that you could use as product photos on your online store. It's all there. So as we still talk about planning your event, my favorite thing to do is make lists. I make lists all the time, right? I got a notebook full of lists right here. My to-do lists, my checklists. Make a checklist for your event, because it's the worst feeling when you get all the way there and it's, you know, you're 2 hours from home and you're like, I forgot the power cord. Or, I forgot the POS system, right? So banners, displays, floor plans, list it all out before you start packing. And then as you're packing it all up, start checking it off. And then that way you have that same list with you at the event, that when you're picking everything up and the flurry of the event's over and you just want to get home and you're tired, then you're not going to miss anything, right? You could double check everything back in when you're packing it back up. So your displays, your banners, even drawing out your floor plan, if you know what your booth space is going to look like, really, really helps for fast, quick, efficient setup and teardown. Of course, that canopy or the tent for shade when you're outdoors, tables, chairs, anything like that that you're going to have to bring or separate it from the event. And all of these supplies too, I like to label. Every time that I've went to an event, even when I was in my band, every cable was labeled. So we knew that wasn't going to be a dispute. Like the event organizer comes by as they're cleaning up, like, that's our power cord. And you're like, no, it's not. I know it's the same brand that you have, but look, my name's on it, right? So it just handles those disputes. And they're probably not even going to be like, that's our power cord if your name's on it, right? They're going to be like, well, that's not ours. That's not our name on it. So it's nice to label this stuff too. So just a little extra tip. Of course, all of your printing equipment, don't want to get there and be like, where's the heat press? I thought you took it. You were supposed to pack it up, right? Checklist, it's there. All of the apparel storage, we'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute, but I love bins, just those plastic totes. We used them when I was touring in a van with the band. Easy to pack up, easy to store, and it kept everything clean. Nothing worse than being right next to a baseball diamond doing a tournament and all that dust is blowing on your nice, crisp, and clean white shirts, right? Not cool, right? So you want to make sure that you have storage and they are clean, airtight, not all that important, but definitely water resistant. If it starts raining, you can pop the lid on it and all your clothes aren't going to be getting wet. Any carts or dollies are really important to keep in mind too, because you're most likely not going to be able to pull up right where your booth is. You're going to have to go through an entrance or an exit or walk down a sidewalk to set up by the baseball diamond or set up inside the stadium. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind and a lot of things to wheel around. So having your own cart, your own dolly, they make those nice collapsible wagons that are perfect for that, or even just little like hand carts and like the furniture dollies and stuff. Anything with wheels that's going to help you roll is just going to make it easier to set up your booth. And of course, water and snacks. Sometimes there's not a food court. Sometimes there is. Sometimes you're so busy that you can't leave your booth, right? And depending on how many people you're bringing with you too, because maybe based on the, the event, what the event organizer told you for audience, you're like, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. Like, I need somebody else to come with me because I don't want to work there for 8 hours by myself. I want to be able to take a bathroom break. I want to be able to go get lunch. I want to be able to go watch a baseball game or whatever it may be, right? I want to go walk around and see the other exhibitors. I want to go meet and mingle with the other exhibitors and network, whatever it may be. Think about your personnel of what you're bringing. So another thing to think about when you're planning your event, right, aside from the checklist, is asking about the location of your booth. If you could try to pick one near an entrance or an exit, or a common area, food court, or something else, a congregating point. If there's like a stage with music right there, or there's like a little pop-up bar set up, try to post up near those because that's where you're going to get the best traffic. Sometimes these vendor shows get so deep with all these rows and rows and rows and rows everywhere where, like, if you're like tucked back up in the corner, you're not getting the foot traffic. That's that main thoroughfare right down the middle of the event, right? So just think about where people are going to kind of mix and mingle, or where they're going to go, right? So the big thing to keep in mind, you'll see it a lot at like the sporting tournaments, the little leagues, the soccer tournaments and stuff, where the booth that's selling merchandise is like literally right next to the little concession stand. You probably see it at your hometown high school football games. The little merch booth is right next to the concession stand because they know people are going to be congregating there, which is also usually near an entrance or an exit, or some thoroughfare. The thing. So you want to be sure that you're getting that foot traffic. Now, the common footprint of what they allow you is a 10 by 10, but of course, sometimes you're able to buy a 10 by 20. But for most apparel decorators, a 10 by 10 is more than enough, unless you're bringing tons of inventory, and then you need some space to store them, especially if like your van or your truck is very far away. Of course, in that first example, when we just got started, Eddie's got everything right in his trailer. So he's able to just pull the trailer up, no need for setup, just open up the windows and you're ready to start selling. So that is like best case scenario. Eddie's got it down with his Thompson tees. So let's get into the artwork here and the actual t-shirt. So you're going to want to be using something to kind of catch your customer's eye, but using color strategically. Right? So using white is one of the most, it's just the best ink to print because it prints on almost every color, of course, except white tees, right? But say you want to offer a version in red because the school's colors are red and black, right? You could offer a red version. You could offer a black version because some people don't like those two colors or don't like to wear them. You could offer like a heather gray version, right? And white's going to print on all of them fine. Of course, you could have different versions, say with like a color change. So like you have a white and a black version, right? So the white goes on the red and the black, and then the red version goes on the heather gray or whatever it is. Simplifying all of your product offerings is going to make that a lot easier because you're not going to need to bring a whole bunch of different transfers and keep them all nice and organized to be like, all right, this goes to this goes to this. So if it's just that same print, that same color print that's going across a wide array of colors, that's great. And then now you throw in maybe a couple different variations of artwork. So you have the one with football on it. You have one that's just generic to the school. You have one that's maybe just the mascot on it, right? So like 3 different versions, and you're able to print across a whole bunch of colorways. So your supplies that you're bringing are actually quite limited. But when you hang everything up on your display, it looks like you have a full catalog of stuff, right? Because it's just so many different combinations. And those combinations too could be little things that you allow your customer to pick. Oh, well, pick and choose whatever you want. Well, I want the red shirt with that graphic on it. Cool. Boom. We're able to get that supplied for you. And you have the supplies in just 3 different transfer types and 3 different colors of shirts. So you're able to super simplify it. Try to keep it as simple as possible so that you're not overcomplicating things for yourself. Because when you're in the heat of the moment and a whole bunch of people are buying, you're trying to do things as quickly as possible. Payment processing, taking the order, printing the shirt, and delivering it, all while you're still giving a nice branded experience. So just things to keep in mind there. Of course, you want to make sure that any fonts you choose, especially they're going to be viewing these shirts from maybe a little bit far away if they're walking by as just the foot traffic, that they could see what they say, right? Some of the examples we'll look at in here, you want to be sure that they could see what products you're offering. Excuse me. So just to do that, Terry says you could add sleeve prints to customize too. Absolutely, right? Sleeve prints are a great opportunity for maybe sponsor branding that helped pay for everything, or your own business. I like it for inside tag prints, sleeve prints, or even the upper back print when you're trying to advertise your services and say, hey, I will, I'll cut you guys a deal, or I'll do this, whatever it may be. Sometimes you don't even need to cut a deal to be able to put your own stuff on the inside. So then, I like to say every 3 years or so, every person has a need for custom t-shirts, right? Every 3 years, whether it be a holiday picnic, a company picnic, their own family reunion, or there's just some need that arises for t-shirts, right? They're going to a concert and they want to outfit everybody up. Janet's having her bachelorette party. We need matching shirts for everybody, right? So every 3 years, about on average, somebody needs a custom t-shirt. So having your name on the inside of a shirt that's in their closet that they wear all the time is a great opportunity for brand awareness, brand recognition. And when they go, well, we need those t-shirts. Well, I like that shirt that's been hanging in the closet for a couple of years. They're going to call you up. So make sure that you're putting your business name on there, what you do, maybe a website even. And now with direct to film, you could put QR codes, super, super small, that go to a specific site. So maybe your pricing changes over the years. You could update it on that site, but that QR code is going to keep linking to the same web page. So you have that branding potential where somebody could just scan it automatically. Now they're placing an order or placing a quote for their own custom job with you, right? Right. Really, really cool. Or even with that QR code, they're like, somebody goes, oh, I love that shirt. Where'd you get it? They're like, oh, at this event. Oh, man, do you know who did it? No, but go ahead and scan the QR code right there, right? And boom, now you just have a customer at your online store, your Etsy store. So even if you don't have this infrastructure all built up, you could link right back to your Etsy store if you're just, a craft vendor running your own brand. That's perfectly fine. And really cool, right? Using technology for you. So one more thing I will say is event-specific designs. So a lot of times at these festivals or events, the art festivals, car shows, you'll see the event shirt, right? So that's going to be your in. That's probably going to be your number one bestseller. But say it's a local car show here, and you are a brand that does have some Cleveland, here in local Ohio, but like your local city pride shirt. So like it's just like, the skyline or whatever it may be, that now you can be printing with that, right? So like you could be offering that as well as the event shirt, right? So super, super important things to keep in mind here. Now, of course, let's talk about what to offer. And I see Lisa asking about what sizes and how many to bring. And so that is coming up. That's coming up as well. So yeah, just in a couple slides, we'll be talking about that. I see Kathy saying the school administration office can point you in the right direction. They should know who the officers are for different organizations, the person, teacher, coach in charge. Absolutely. Yeah. They'll know who's making the purchasing decision. Now, if they respond to you, that's up to them, right? But getting in front of those PTA meetings, the athletic booster club meetings, when you're trying to get into stuff like that, that's where you could get that face-to-face time. And it's much harder to ignore an email than when somebody's asked in person. Like, they'll probably give you a runaround answer, but now they're going to remember you. And especially if you continuously show up, say your kid's in the school too. So that's important. So how can I get transfer papers and company name? We're Transfer Express. You could order the paper from us. We'll just put the ink on it for you. Okay. So let's talk about what to offer. So here you could see we have a screen printed transfer gang sheet right here in the middle of all of these products. So just one gang sheet is in just a couple different sizes here, right? We have our local pride. So this is one example that's absolutely phenomenal for like my analogy that I was just talking about. Say we're going to a local Ohio-based car show. We could bring the car show design that is event specific. That's probably going to be our number one seller. But now we could bring transfers with just a couple different images on the transfer sheet itself. And now we could print hoodies. We could print mouse pads. We could print pillows, aprons, towels, tote bags, little can coolers and koozies, and of course, t-shirts, all with the same graphic at whatever scale we need it. So this is also using your prints deliberately and strategically. This color works great on all whites, and maybe we could just inverse this to be a white print that's going to go on any other color of shirt, right? So using all of this is very important. So things to think about when you are thinking about what products you're going to bring to the event. Think about the audience, right? So is it, what do they buy? Is it predominant? Is it a holiday market where they're looking for cozy crew necks? Bring those. hoodies, fleece sets, maybe blankets and stuff like that, right? So if you're going to a event that's like a like an outdoor festival, you're probably going to be bringing like tank tops and t-shirts in case somebody's hot and they're like, I just need a tank top to put on, right? I know I have bought so many t-shirts at amusement parks because my friends suckered me into riding a water ride, right? And then you're all soaking wet and you're like, I would just really love a dry t-shirt to put on right now. And then you'll go buy a dry t-shirt and just carry it around your wet one until it dries, right? I've done that countless times, right? I don't know why I still keep riding water rides. That's the real question. But essentially, think about the audience and the time of year and the climate of where you're at. That's going to inform what you're going to bring, whether it be fleece or whether it be just regular t-shirts, tank tops, maybe even crop tops in those ladies styles, right? So those things to keep in mind. Of course, it's going to help you with the number of the designs that you could bring and what size they need to be. Because if you're putting on tank tops, maybe that 11-inch wide graphic isn't going to fit. Or if it is, you have to push it down. Maybe it's baseball, right? And you want to get that baseball style with some raglans, right? And the two-tone, the sleeves different than the body. But you have to worry about those seams here that go on the sleeve. So that 11-inch wide graphic is going to cross those seams. So maybe you need to size it to 9. So that's what you need to think about when you're thinking about that. Those secondary graphics, right? The inside tag prints, as we talk about using screen printed transfers or heat transfers in general that are available on sheets, putting those inside tags on the space on your gang sheet is just great potential. It's essentially free printing, especially if you're charging to do everything up front. You know, you're saying, hey, I need a deposit to do all this stuff, to buy these materials. Or if you're fronting the cost yourself, then that is evergreen for you. You could bring those back to the shop and it's just local branding for you. Or like we were talking about, the sleeve prints. Erica asked, what's the best transfers for cotton shirts that will last? I'm going to say goof-proof screen printed transfers. We were just looking at Mike. I'm going to bring Mike up behind the scenes, and Mike could attest to this right now. He's wearing a shirt that we do every year for opening day because sports are such a big part of heat transfers and apparel decorating solutions for our customers and have been for a long time. Every year on the baseball opening day, we print shirts for the entire company, right? Mike's wearing his from 2021, and it literally looks like the day it was printed. Now, it is a blend shirt. It's a Heather blend. It's probably like 80% cotton, but goof-proof in a 2-color print on it. It was navy and red, I think, but absolutely phenomenal. Looks great. And he was like, yeah, I actually wear this all the time. Look how great it's holding up. Goof-proof screen printed transfers give you the look, feel, and wearability of a regular screen printed shirt without the hassle of inks, emulsions, screens, squeegees, off contact, pressure, the cleanup, all the chemicals, anything like that. You get a plastisol print that you could print with your heat press. So very, very, that's my favorite at least, right? So then if you're, that's 1 to 3 colors in your design. And if you're going to go above that, I'll say our ultra color transfers, right? So, of course, another thing to offer and think about, maybe putting on that extra space on your gang sheets here are mom, dad, any personalizations. And, of course, you could buy packs of numbers, too. If somebody's like, well, my son's number 11 on the baseball team, I want number 11 on the back of my hoodie. No problem. And it's extra profit that you could put in your pocket, too, right? So very important things. Now, this is what you guys have been waiting for. Lisa, this is our sizing breakdown. Now, this is the exact sizing breakdown that we use for our Toast to Transfers events as well. So we researched a lot around the internet and from polling decorators who do print on site or do on-demand printing. But essentially, it's the 1, 2, 3, 3, 1 rule, right? So this has changed. You might find some similar information online, but it also depends on your geographic area. I know if you're in, say, Southern California, you're probably going to sell a lot more mediums and maybe smalls than here in the Midwest. It is just the demographic. I wear a size extra large shirt, so you see that as one of the most popular sizing here, especially even now. Maybe I'm off with that because there are a lot of that trend now with oversized shirts. Like people are buying the slightly larger shirts. I know my wife wears like my t-shirts around and she is not my size. So smalls, we'll say for every 1 small, you'll bring 2 mediums. You'll bring 3 larges, you'll bring 3 extra larges, and then you'll bring 1 extended extra large. So then even like if you want to make sure that you have 3X or even an extra small, if this is stacking up, so then you have 2 smalls that you're bring 1 extra small, maybe 1 triple X, just in case, right? But you're going to know your demographic in your area the best. But this is a great starting point. And I mean, when we when we do these Toast to Transfers events over and over and over again, that we see these same numbers go. And so our averages are rock solid. So this is exactly what we use, so we don't buy too much inventory and in the wrong sizes. Now, of course, you'll get your outliers where it's like, man, those mediums sold quick today. It just happens. But for a general basis, this is great. So if you want to screenshot this, or of course, just wait for the replay and we'll email these slides out later. Or if you're watching the replay, you could click the link down in the description to grab the slides yourself. But this is a great basis for sizing breakdown. So I think it was Lisa asking about it. Just want to make sure. Yes, Lisa, I hope this helps. This is exactly what you were looking for here. So boom, fantastic. So as we talk about our products that we're bringing, and I talked a little bit about our display earlier, but this is things to think about, right? So we're going to get into some tips about the actual displays and what your backdrop should really have, or how your product should be displayed. But I like to break down a printing booth in essentially 3 spots, right? So background, middle, and front is where you're going to be doing. Now, this is my ideal heat printing setup. Maybe you want to invite people into the booth to shop if you don't have that space to keep them on the outside. Maybe you have a little bit more room, but essentially this is like a 10 by 10 space right here, right? So the background is the tall stuff. Think of this stuff as the billboard, right? This is what people are going to see from a distance when they're passing by or approaching your booth. This should include like your company name, the name of your business. What do you do? Is this where the official merch is? So they make those really great, they're super inexpensive now too, the pop-up banners, and they like pop down almost like like one of those easy up canopies, right? Where it just all collapses right down and you put it in a little bag and you're able to carry it, throw it over your shoulder and carry it with you. But essentially it's just Velcroed on fabric. So if you ever need to change it for a different event, a different season, or anything, right? You could easily swap that out. So try to have it be a little bit more evergreen if you're going to be having a banner printed. But sometimes even you could hang a banner up just on the back of your event tent with like bungee cords, right? We did that for over on the YouTube page. We have a short video on printing on site where we actually went outside, set up a heat press, set up a canopy, set up a banner, set up some grid wall, and did a whole product display. But essentially all we didn't need any banner backdrop. We took a fabric backdrop banner that was sublimated and just bungee corded it on the tent itself. Now, of course, the wind was blowing, but that's things you need to keep in mind. But that background is the main visual that your customers are going to see from a distance. So make sure it's communicating clearly. Now, the middle of your booth here is going to be your workspace. This is where your heat press is going to be. It's maybe where the clothing rack or your storage is going to be. Your supply bins maybe under the table, but this is your workspace. This is where you're turning around, where you're greeting customers. Your point of sale is going to be on that table in the front. So you want to keep that middle area nice and open. Now on the front side, that's where you're going to have any small stuff on your table. Maybe you have like little shirts that you could touch and feel, or you have like a grid wall, a little clothing display, maybe a clothing rack right there on the table itself. Or you'll see a lot of times in some of the examples too, I think in the next slide coming up, those little like wood crates, right? That look like super crafty and cute. They're perfect for those vendor shows, and they mix into a lot of t-shirt businesses aesthetics, right? So really cool to be able to have those. And maybe those you have on there with little, if it's onesies, or that's where the koozies are laid out so that people can make those point of sale purchases. But then you have your Square reader or your iPad or however you're processing payment cards, your little cash register, all right there on the table. So here, yep, just like I was talking about with those little displays, look, they have hats here, right? So these little displays. So think about how you're going to display your products and where you need them to display. Like a half mannequin, just like the busts. You could put those on the table right up front, but you want to be sure that those designs are kind of up high so people could see them, especially if you have like a line forming where anything, people sized and under, so let's say waist level and under, will just be completely unseen, right? So you want to make sure that you have your pricing up high somewhere, along with just like this, where you have like these racks of clothes that would be behind the event, but like you're able to see there like, oh, look, that's what they have available, right? So, and then maybe right above that on the display is where your actual brand name is. So think about how you're going to do it. The mannequins, hanging racks, or even grid wall. I love grid wall, and it's, you know, maybe $100 for a couple pieces of it, but it's usually steel and like coated, so it's not going to rust or anything. You just get the little waterfall arms or whatever you want to clip into it, and then it's really easy to throw in the van or transport or break down, right? But it's a great display where you could get that retail ready look. So really, really cool to be able to have those points of kind of displays. So with your display, again, you want to make sure you have clear messaging with pricing somewhere displayed, right? And if pricing is a selling point for you, that is your differentiator, have it real big. T-shirts, $20, right? If you are charging a little bit more premium or doing customization, maybe that's something to say up high. Hey, customization, personalization right here, create your own T-shirt, whatever it may be, right? But if, say, your pricing is a little bit higher, just make sure it's on the apparel. So when somebody's browsing the style, they could see it. And maybe you are a boutique, and that's completely fine. You charge what is the going market rate for you and what's worth your time and what you think your design is worth, you know, what your products are actually worth. So that's, I'm not going to tell you, we could get into pricing and do an entire another hour-long webinar on pricing, right? So be sure that you just have that pricing displayed. Because if you're like $40 a t-shirt, somebody's not even going to look at the t-shirts then, right? And maybe if they looked at the t-shirts, they'd be like, I need to have this. $40 is expensive, but you know what? I'm going to buy it. Talk about every single concert that I go to, right? If I would see that they're like $65 for a t-shirt, I would be like, no, guys, we need to stay away. But they hook me in with the designs. And I go, I really want that. Ooh, it's only available right here, right now. Yeah, $65, I'll buy it, right? And so you get those people to make those purchases right there. I usually like to say the impulse buys, you need to be under that $50, $45 threshold for somebody to not have the intent of purchasing, for you to sway them. So 65, maybe for my favorite band, totally do it. Maybe for my second or third favorite band, hey, I'm there at the concert, yeah, I'm going to buy it, right? So another thing to keep in mind is if you're going to have wayfinding signage to say like, to help customers out, you know, I always hate it when you walk into a restaurant and it's like they have a counter and like no like order here, pick up here, right? And you're like, do I go over here? Do I go here? And the customer doesn't feel comfortable. So if you're able to put that signage display up high, and you'll have a crowd gathered around your booth, you want to make them feel invited. Like, no, nobody's ordering. They're waiting for me to print their shirts. Come on up, let me order, you know? So have that sign like, place your order here, pick up here. That's if you're doing printing on site and doing that customization. So it really, really helps out, right? So important for that. Lighting. If you are inside, lighting is not a given. And you will see, if you've been to any vendor shows or craft fairs, little festivals that are inside those holiday markets, immediately your eye goes to the booth that's lit up. It's not sitting in shadows. You could clearly see their products. You could clearly see the name and the messaging and everything. Clearly see it. Little clip lights cost next to nothing. You can get them at like the dollar store even sometimes. Get those, right? They are going to be completely worth it to be able to light up your display, light up your products. Even if the event hall is fairly well lit, just adding that extra pop, getting rid of those shadows helps your booth look way better and way more noticeable. Table covers in any fashion. Of course, I love the sublimated ones, or even you could decorate them with your heat press with vinyl or Ultra Color Max, and get that branded potential right there on the tablecloth itself. But it looks a lot more professional than just a regular plastic folding table, right? Makes it look like a nice prim and polished booth. Rebecca, they have those little like clamp lights. They're not like Rebecca's asking what kind of lights from Dollar General. I saw them at the Dollar Tree. They're not like reading lights, but they're little like little clamp desk lights, if you know what I mean. Like they kind of have like the little gooseneck arm, and then like a clamp on them, and they just take like a regular light bulb. That's what you'll want to be looking for. So something like that. Or, I mean, if you don't have a dollar store around you, or the Dollar Tree or the Dollar General doesn't have them in stock, go look on Amazon. Usually they have like packs of 3 or 4 of them, little clip lights, not the book lights. Those are not nearly as bright. Although my wife has one that like blinds me when I'm trying to go to bed and she's reading in bed. So maybe that one would work fine. I don't know what brand that is, but I'm not a big fan, especially when I'm trying to sleep. But something like that, those little clamp lights, some of those are battery powered too, but I don't like to rely on the battery power, because then like when you're in the hustle and bustle of stuff, you turn around and like, oh, How long is that light been turned off for? And then you have to swap batteries. So just try to find when that plugs in. And then, of course, your extension cords will help keep them lit all throughout the entire duration of the event. So yeah, think about that. Think about storage space too. So like I talked about those totes, when you have a tablecloth like this, you could store everything under that table that your customers never see. It looks super clean and organized, and you're like, wow, where do you guys even have those shirts? They're tucked up underneath the table, right? So just one thing to keep in mind, those tablecloths are absolutely fantastic. And just like this little illustration of the booth we see here, we see that there's the clothing rack over to the right-hand side, so somebody could browse through there. The heat press is away from the cash register, sitting right there on the table. There's, of course, the boxes in the little cutaway section. I just noticed that now. Wow, way to go, Jacob. I think Jacob made this graphic. But in that little cutaway underneath is our storage, right? So, and even a little branded bag, which we'll get into those tips too. So, yeah. So, okay, cool. Yeah, some battery operated lights. If you already have them and you know that, I mean, that's one thing to test too. So, like, you want to test your transfers. You want to run through everything. So you could kind of get a good idea of speed and make sure everything's going to work right before you get on site, because you just want no hiccups on site at all. So maybe you want to test how long the lights work on that battery operated light. Say the little vendor show runs for 4 hours for over 2 nights, and you only need them for 4 hours, then you recharge them or swap the batteries. Just turn it on for 4 hours, time it, and see how long it takes to turn off as you're just watching TV one night or working one day. And when it turns off, like, oh, okay, I know I have 3 hours on that. Same with generators. A great thing when you're outside with your generator, time, how long it takes to run through the gas. Now, of course, sometimes it varies based on how much power you're actually drawing, but it's a good thing to keep in mind. So you could set an alarm on your phone or your watch or something to go, all right, it's been 3 hours. I need to go fill up that generator before I'm trying to print shirts and the generator just turns off and I lose all electricity, right? So one very important thing to keep in mind there. That's a little extra bonus tip. And that's inspired by you guys. Look at the community helping me out here, right? Of course, the point of sale. You want to be able to take cash and card, especially now it's almost in the point where like some people are like, nope, I don't take cash, right? But you want to be able to take cash. People are going to have money in hand wanting to spend. And if they're like, no, I don't really want to put it on the card. I already went to the ATM and got the money out that I'm willing to spend at this. Like, just be able to take cash. So what that means for you is just bringing small amounts of change. So like it doesn't have to be huge at first, just be able to break 100 if like somebody's bringing you 100. So like some 20s, some 5s, some 1s. And of course, like if you don't want to, you don't have to deal with like actual coin change and just round everything up to say like, oh yeah, it's $31, right? Or $30. Try to keep it even numbers for people, or at least where it's going to make sense. Don't lose money and don't be hassling and bargaining. Like you don't walk into a restaurant and go like, oh, the steak on the menu is $30, but would you take 25 for it? No, they're not going to do that. Neither should you. Okay. You are worth your time. Stand firm on your pricing, right? It is. I mean, yeah, of course we could have pricing conversations. Like I mentioned earlier, we could go and do our own webinar about pricing, but you should not be, don't be haggling. Don't be hassling. Maybe if somebody's like, well, I'm going to buy 10 shirts. Could you cut me a deal? And you're like, yeah, I could cut you a deal on 10 shirts then, whatever it may be. But yeah, make those prices, list them up. It's just like a retail store. You don't go into Best Buy to go, hey, maybe back in the day you could go in and be like, hey, yeah, that $800 TV, I'm only going to pay $750 for it. And they're like, no, you're just not going to get TV. Look, we got this TV over here for $750 that you could buy, but not this one, right? So cash and card, be able to accept both of them. Because then if you're cash only, a lot of people are like, I don't have cash on me, man. Where's an ATM? I don't know where an ATM is. And you're going to lose out on those sales. Be able to capture anybody who wants to give you money. Do it. Carrie, great advice there. She says she uses 2 generators to be sure. Yes, absolutely a great idea, right? So things to look for in a POS system. So this is Square right here using an iPad. And I don't know about you guys, but I see these everywhere. I see Clover everywhere now. And there's some things to look for when you're choosing a POS system. Possibly your online store is already through a payment provider like Square or Clover or somebody like that, where now it's tied to your inventory. So your entire inventory is already preloaded. All of your shirts that you're bringing are already inside the system, in the POS system. All of the pricing is already set. Perfect, right? Like that makes it so super easy. And then when somebody says, well, I want a large shirt, you could easily see right there because you preloaded in the inventory. Well, we're out of larges, right? I do have a video for printing online at events on the YouTube page that I mentioned when you're in the bins to separate each size with cardboard. And if you're using a clear bin, you could easily just look back and go, we're out of larges, because you know where the little spot is for large because you taped it on the outside of the clear bin. These are larges in heather gray, and you look there and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Tim, great suggestion there in the chat. Just factor in the 3% credit card and swipe fee. Yes, and that depends. The credit card processing fees do change based on what service you're going for, but it seems like the industry average is, yes, right there around 3% for transactions. So if you are going to be using Square, just build that into the pricing, so you're not losing. If that's $3 of profit that you're losing if you haven't accounted for that in your price. You could charge different whether you're using cash or card. Be like, it's $30 if you just want to pay cash, or it's $33. Or a lot of people don't even mention that and just make it look like they're absorbing the cost and giving the customer a great experience, when in all reality, every single customer, regardless if they're paying cash or card, is subsidizing the credit card processing fee on that, right? So yes, sometimes there are monthly fees. Look, we're getting ahead of ourselves, Tim. It's such a great tip that I had to jump ahead of myself. But make sure that you're looking at the actual monthly fees too. Some of these services charge a monthly fee on top of each credit card fee that you do. So just one thing to keep in mind. Of course, any payment delays. If you want that money right now, how long does it take for them to deposit that to your account? Sometimes it's 3 to 5 days. Sometimes it's instant. Sometimes you have to pay for instant or pay more commission on instant to hit back to your bank account. So it all depends. I ask that you just research one that's going to be the best fit for you. Of course, some of them, like, I don't know if Square does it still, but if you sign up for the account, they send you a free card reader. So you don't have to pay for a card reader. Of course, something like this with a screen and an iPad and the tap to pay and all this stuff, swipe, insert, anything like that. So you just need to make sure that that you're probably gonna have to pay for that. But usually they're like $100. Some of them even have cash registers that you could buy too. So you could do your payment, you do all of your processing all through there. So then even when somebody's paying cash, it's still charging the inventory, or it's still keeping track of the inventory for you, right? And then of course, internet requirements. This is where you're going to want to bring a little Wi-Fi. Sometimes even like your phone's hotspot is important to keep in mind, right? Keep your phone's hotspot on so that you could run your credit card processing through it. Usually it's not super data dependent, but this is something maybe that you want to go to the event site when you're meeting with an event organizer or looking at the space. Bring your phone and see if you have internet connectivity, right? Because even if you're bringing like a little dedicated Wi-Fi internet device, you want to make sure that's going to be able to get that Verizon or AT&T signal here too. Now, of course, when we talked about a little bit earlier about what the show is providing, ask them if they have internet. Do you have Wi-Fi available that I will be able to get on to run my credit card processing through? Because I need my Square reader here. My register needs to be connected to the internet to process payments. And they'll be like, oh yeah, totally. We have Wi-Fi. Here's the password. Or they'll say, oh yeah, totally. We have Wi-Fi and it's, $30 to get on it for the event. And you're like, well, it's still worth it. So Lindsay, thank you for clarifying. Square does still give you a free reader when you sign up for the service, but it's just that little white one that it's Bluetooth to your phone. So you could insert a card or tap to pay on it too. So that one's real nice. So of course, let's talk into print on demand, and we're coming in here into the home stretch on our webinar today about event printing. But here, look at this image right here. When I talk about lighting, you can see the shadows at the top here. So the lighting on all of their apparel this thing's a shining beacon in whatever room this is in, right? You see this and you're like, wow, I could see all of those shirts clearly, right? They're all displayed clearly on the busts. And then even this is pre-printed inventory here, but easy to access pre-printed inventory that they could just turn around and grab. You could also see that these appear to be in poly bags. So another great thing to keep any inventory, pre-printed inventory that's going to be displayed free of dust, rain, anything like that. You want to make sure it's in a poly bag. I always recommend putting one of those like silica gel packs in every poly bag if you're going to be storing it for a long time. Like if you're going to be taking these shirts from event to event all summer, because shirts retain moisture from the air. If you're heat printing, you probably know as soon as you close that heat press on for the pre-press, steam is billowing out of that shirt. They soak up moisture from the air like a sponge, right? And so that moisture, when you put it in a poly bag, those shirts could get moldy after a while. And what's worse than your customer paying $40 for a t-shirt to take it out of a poly bag? It smells bad and it has mold on it. Gross, right? So just a single gel pack will help take care of that, right? Sometimes even too, the poly bags are nice, but if you just clip a little hole in it, take a little hole punch and clip a little hole in it, that way they're not filled with air, right? And they get a little bit more airflow through them, so they're not going to get gross in a sealed poly bag for a long time, right? So, but with printing on demand, I talked about it a little bit earlier at the top of the presentation here, but you're reducing financial risk. You don't have to do all of that bulk pre-printed inventory like we see on the shelves here. If those don't sell, that is money that you are essentially throwing in the trash, right? So if they don't sell at this event, or they're specific to this event, or they don't sell anywhere, yes, they're not selling. Now, this is a cheer event, right? So you see there's probably an event shirt, but everything else here is just based around cheer, right? So like there's the shirt, it's earned, not given, and like some like Superman inspired ones, or like that looks like a Journey shirt, or like some kind of band tee that still says cheer. So you're able to like service the event that you're specifically at, but also broaden the product array of what you're offering. But lit up, people are looking here. And then you can see there's like stickers and bows and all of these other accessories, tote bags, all right there sitting on the table as well. So very, very cool. Deb asked, do you recommend silica gel plastic? Let me try that one again. Deb asked, do you recommend silica gel packs in plastic bins? So I've never personally used them. And I actually just pulled some t-shirts out of my old band bin because, again, pre-printed inventory, right? My band pre-printed a whole bunch of inventory to take out on tour. The band hasn't played in 4 years now, and I have boxes and boxes and totes filled with merch still in my garage. I just pulled one out the other day because I wanted to show somebody that I was going on a little trip here, and I wanted to show one of my old band tees. So I went and pulled a band tee out of it. It's been sitting there, no silica gel packs for 4 years since somebody touched it and moved it, and it was fine. So I didn't have to worry about it. I mean, at least it smelled a little musty, but there's no mold or anything on that in there. It also is not like a full airtight seal. So airflow has been in and out of it. It's just one of those like snap lids, right? So it like snaps on either side. There's the little handles that like you fold up that snap on the lid. I bought it at Target however long ago, right? But one of those just makes it easy to put on and off. And so it's not like a poly bag where you like have that little glue strip, you tear away the paper, peel it over, that gets pretty airtight sometimes. So I haven't had any problems with that, right? So like I mentioned earlier, my story about going and working with Juxtapose and Art Basel, Adidas, and doing that interactive element. The customers at that, picking their own transfers from their favorite artists, arranging it however they want on the sheet with whatever, we had the Adidas logo and the Juxtapose magazine logo and all the stuff that we were able to print these transfers of, and they made a one-of-a-kind shirt. It was interactive. Even something like this, if this was like a whole bunch of different colorways and you're like, I want that yellow smiley face, but I want it on a pink tee. Of course, yeah, no problem. And you get people to have, your customers have that say, that personalization. They helped create it, right? And it's just a cool experience that is interactive and one of a kind. Usually when you go to Target, it's like, nope, they only have it in black and red. Okay, cool. I would really like a pink one, but I guess I'll buy a black one, or I'm not going to buy it because it's black and I don't wear black t-shirts, whatever it is. I don't know anybody who doesn't wear black t-shirts. They're my favorite color of t-shirt to wear. They are, I think, the #1 bestseller everywhere else too. So, of course, with that personalization, you could do any unique placement. You could do the sleeve prints. You could do the back prints. You could customize the gear. Maybe you're even doing tote bags and you could put the numbers on it as well. So things to keep in mind. Lindsay says, I'm in Florida too. There's lots of humidity there. I was just down at Disney a couple weeks ago, and whoo, is there some humidity there. Where do you get rechargeable silica packs? So I'm not too familiar with the rechargeable ones, but you could go to Uline and buy in bulk, and just so you could toss them when they're ready to go, or even the big ones. They make the big ones, so they're not like the little tiny packs. They're like the big packs. You could get those big packs, or Amazon. Amazon has them very cheap as well. So, but they're still there. So yeah, cool stuff. So, yes, I'm trying to see what Terry and Lindsay's, Terry says Dave's band tees are going to be the free giveaway for the webinar. I should bring them in. I probably have enough to give away to everybody who's here. live with us. I've got a lot still seating in there, James. I'll take my free band shirt in 3. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to do something like that. Maybe I'll bring them to an event or something. Just stuff a rollerboard, my checked bag full of old band tees, and we'll just give them all away. Somebody said you could use the t-shirts for rags as well, shop rags that are unused. Yes, but of course, if you put money into printing it in time, that's sometimes an expensive rag, right? So of course, let's wrap up with our print on demand here and just some spare extra tips. Of course, you need electrical. So those power requirements that we were talking about earlier, it is the 15 amp dedicated outlet with 120 volt is what all of the Hotronix heat presses except the dual air fusion run off of. So you're able to get those. If you have an air powered heat press, you're probably not lugging it to a show, but that's one thing to think about when you're talking about heat presses. All of these heat presses here, the Max Press, the Hat Press, and that Stahl's Clam Basic are pretty lightweight and small and portable to bring around. So if you're carrying them or rolling them around on the dolly, boom, those bins right there. This is inside Eddie Thompson's trailer, I believe, and you could see he used those same bins that I was talking about with the little clips that clip on, just keep the bin on there. So like airflow does kind of flow in on the sides, but it keeps any rain, moisture, dust, debris, all that stuff stays out of those shirts, so you don't have to polybag each one of the shirts. Now, when I was doing pre-printed inventory, all of those shirts for my band, they are all polybagged, or not all of them. Some of them are polybagged because it was just easier to sort by size. So here you could probably see that there's green and black shirts in each one of the bins. I think there might even be some gray ones in there too, right? So all of these are all in bins, right? Probably sorted by size. So like the medium or the smalls are the closest to us, then mediums, then large, extra large, 2X, all the way down. So each bin holds a different size, mixed colors. So you can see the colors and be like, somebody's like, well, I want a large. Like, we're out of black, but we have a green shirt still. And then you're able to marry it with the transfer that are just on the tables right above them, and then print right out the door they go. And then so there's a little bit of grid wall. You can see those clamps are probably what display the transfers, or like Eddie moves that outside to show it outside the trailer and then services everybody through the window there. So we have our heat press. Of course, we have our screen printed or digital transfers, goof-proof screen printed transfers, those plastisol transfers, my favorite, right? Because then you're able to screen print on site without the mess. Because, hey, I don't know where a washout booth is. I don't know what I'm going to do with my inks. I have paper towels to clean stuff up, and like, it's just a mess, right? So all you need for cleanup with using screen printed or digital transfers is just a waste basket, essentially, right? So that's where you're going to put your transfer paper in, your spare carriers when you're done with them, and that's it. There's no cleanup. There's no mess. There's no, I need to find a hose to wash out my screens or anything like that. No, makes it really, really super easy. So, and then, of course, the storage bins, like I had mentioned, those ones right there are perfect. Clear is definitely the way to go. So you could just instantly look, see the inventory, see what's in it, see if it's empty or not, and you're able to see, right? So, of course, we talk about the sealed plastic bins. They're organized by size, color, or style. We have some great tips for even if you're using just one bin to separate, again, by cardboard. And then if it's clear, you could tape or you just use a Sharpie on the outside to say these are smalls, these are mediums, these are larges. So everything's organized, and just at one glance, you could see, right? So you just need to know. So Jose asked how much shirts would make sense to take to an event. And so that depends on like kind of the stuff we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. If you missed it, we'll send you a replay. But it really depends on what event you're going to. So look at the total attendance and account for 25% to buy. Now, of course, at like those little league tournaments, it probably is more than 25% of people showing up are going to buy something. It's probably more in like the 50% range, because people want something of like, oh yeah, this tournament, I want a memento for me and my kid that he made it to this state level tournament for baseball or whatever, and wants to remember it, wants to remember 2 years from now, like, yeah, I remember when we made it to states or we made it to the finals or whatever. So you might be selling more than 25%. But for on-site events, and really depending if there's other competition, if there's 6 other people, 6 other vendors selling t-shirts at the show, your conversion rate, your purchase rate of attendees to people who will actually buy from you is probably going to drop from 25% down to I don't know, a third or a quarter of 25% based on how many people are selling t-shirts at the event. So that's all stuff to take into consideration. There's not like a, oh yeah, bring 200. There is no like set. It's going to vary based on the event that you're going to. So, of course, like we saw with Eddie's transfers here on our last slide, he had all of the transfers easy to access. Sometimes the easiest way is those smaller bins, right? So the smaller kind of flat file plastic bins, just the same as you have your apparel in, right? And then that's where you're keeping your transfers. I like to keep the Transfer Express boxes. They make it really super easy too, because then you can just grab, I have one right behind me in my display. There is the space right here that you could label it. And then all it is just opening it up, grabbing a transfer, locking it right back down. I'm going to put this back on my display. But essentially, you do have this ability to say, this is the white version of the event tee, right? So like you could put that all right there. Put it back there. Look at that, nice and pretty, like I never even messed up my background. Yeah, so Jay, actually, that's a great thing. So I don't know if you guys are talking about the smell, because sometimes they do have a very, very plastic smell to those bins when they're brand new. What I like to do is go just leave them outside. Leave them in your garage or something. Not outside, but like leave them in your garage with the lid off of them so they get to air out a little bit. If you even want to put a fan on them, put a fan on them, because that plastic smell will go away over time. But in all the years, I think Jay said, like, I use the Sterilite clear bins. I think that's the exact same brand that I used. I don't know. I got them at Target. It's real nice. Got it at Target. The clear bins, that there's no smell. You won't notice the smell on the shirts. It's not going to be an issue, but that's a great thing. I'm glad you guys are talking about that there, right there. So yeah, just to make sure. Yeah. So cool. Brian has a good one in there. I pay another vendor fee to block the competition. So like some event organizers will have exclusivity rates. So like if you are the only apparel printer, you could pay into that. Now that is, I would say probably more rare and very localized to like local things, but look at what that's going to be. If it's an extra $300, but you know you're going to sell $800, $1,000, $2,000 and more because there's nobody else that's going to be competition for you, that might be wise to go for it, right? Or if it's your competition, you're like, well, I know that their designs are terrible. I know that they're not going to be printing on site. I know that they're not going to offer customization. And you're like, I'm going to win that sale anyway. Have confidence in yourself and your brand. Boom. Be able to do it. So make sure that you're also using your inventory set up before you show up, because it's great to be able to input all that. Be like, I know I ordered 50 shirts. I know I'm bringing 50 shirts of mediums and 50 larges or whatever the breakdown that we did. 50 smalls, 100 mediums. Yeah, and if we're using that, I'm just trying to do easy math here, right? We're at the tail end of our webinar here, but it really saves you time in the hustle and bustle when people are ordering from you and you just want to be taking the money and delivering the goods as fast as you can to reduce the line of people behind them, and be able to service everybody and make sure that they purchase before the game starts, right? Because when somebody says like, I'll come back, I'd say 90% of the time they don't come back, right? So you want to be able to service them when they're there at the booth. Do not give them any hesitation or any reason not to buy. So of course, we just got some wrap-up tips right here real quick that I'm going to try to fly through. But if you guys have any questions, now's the chance to answer them, or now's the time to ask them, because we will answer them, right? Mike will answer them, or I'll be able to answer them here for you. So promotional materials. You could be putting a whole bunch of extra stuff on your apparel that's going to market your own brand, which usually event organizers have absolutely no problem with. I love tote bags. Printed tote bags, or even these paper bags, right? Screen printed transfers will apply to them perfectly fine. Direct to film transfers will apply to them perfectly fine. What better way to get advertising on site with your brand than give somebody a bag that they're then going to walk around the rest of the event? Visibility for your brand, right? They're going to see it, and then hey, oh, that's the custom printing place. And then even if, just like on this one here, this is going to be like my secondary hot tip, but I knew it was on this this tote bag too. I think the tote bag's there, or not the tote bag, the little paper bag. It says booth 312. That's where to find us, because people are going to be walking around the event. Oh, it's the Crafts Bazaar. Custom tees are at booth 312. Yes. Boom. There you go, right? You're directing more traffic. It's promotional. Same with hang tags or business cards, stickers, the little freebies, right? It gets people into your booth. Like if you could put a sign up, or in that, maybe that email that they're going to send out, the event organizer sends out, say, get a free sticker when you stop at booth 312. Give people a reason to show up to your booth, right? We always did that with the band. Like, hey, after the show, come back and get a free sticker. We'll give you a free sticker. Because if you get somebody to your booth, that's half the battle. I mean, that's more than half the battle. That's 70%. That's 90% of the battle. Because then they're there with you. They go, oh, this t-shirt's only $25. Yeah, I'll buy it. Yeah, no problem. Oh, and with a CD? Oh, it's 30? Yeah, absolutely. I'll buy it, right? And now somebody who had no intention of ever coming to your booth is now buying a whole bunch of stuff. And if you don't get them to the booth, guess what? They can't buy, right? So try to do that stuff. Use social media before and after the event, even if it's just your own audience. Tag the local city, tag somebody else involved. Try to collaborate with other people to try to get people to get the buzz generated before the event. And then even after the event, when somebody's like, man, I didn't get a chance to buy that t-shirt, they were out of stock. If you post on the group page, hey, thanks for everybody. That was a great event. I can't wait till next year. They're like, that was the t-shirt guy. I wonder if he has any more. And then you could still make sales afterwards or build those relationships, right? So be sure that you're engaging too. The number one thing that I hate when I go to these vendor shows, flea markets, craft fairs, anything, is when somebody's sitting in the back on their phone. No, just, oh, you're browsing. Okay. And they're just on their phone. Say hi to people, start conversation. It's is easy. I know not everybody is an extrovert and like super excited to talk to people, but a smile, just a look and a smile goes a long way. Hey, how are you doing? Any questions that I could ask for you? Anything specific you're looking for? Anything like that, right? It just helps start a conversation instead of you ignoring somebody who wants to give you money by being on your phone. And there's been plenty of times I personally have been at events and been like, wow, that t-shirt's sweet. That's only $25. I'll buy it, to walk up and stand there for a minute without even being acknowledged of my presence. Nah. Like, that vendor spent all that time setting up the booth and making all this inventory and getting everything ready to go. That looks fantastic. It attracted me, and I walked over to be, whoa, what's this? I want to see this up close. And then they didn't even acknowledge me. I walked away. Like, I'm not going to buy something from you if you don't even acknowledge my presence. I'm a customer. I want to buy something from you. And that's exactly what these people are, right? So just be friendly, right? The next bullet point, look approachable, no phones. You can have your phone out if it's a little slow lull period or something, right? Or maybe somebody's chatting you, or like somebody ran to the concession stand and they're like, do you want ketchup on your hot dog? Yes, I want ketchup on my hot dog. Hi, how are you doing? Is anything I can help you find today? Don't just be sitting there in your own world because nobody's going to buy from you. They don't want to interact with you. So it's just best to just be approachable. And this is a great point here. And this is something that I talk to people all the time. And when we go to trade shows as Transfer Express or stalls, this is something that I tell people all the time is this may be the 100th person you've talked to today, right? This may be your 100th customer. This might be the 200th shirt that you've printed this weekend, but this might be the first booth that they've ever seen. You are setting an example for your brand, for your business, and to be honest, for the entire event. So if you are rude to people, this is something that you might have slammed it, absolutely crushed it at this art festival, right? But the event organizers heard how rude you were to their attendees, because it's not just your customers, they're their attendees too, right? So you were rude to our attendees, you are not welcome back next year. And you're like, but I made $8,000 in a weekend. Sorry, you don't fit in, right? Be friendly, be respectable to everybody, be approachable, and that's doing yourself favors. It's doing your brand favors. It's going to help your sales, and it's also going to help the event organizer. Because on the flip side of that coin, they go, man, you know what? Dave's Tees over in booth 312, I went back there just to talk to the guy. He was so nice. I went back and bought more stuff just because I loved just the vibe of everything. People will do that at these shows. And then that could be a customer in your local community who's coming back to you. You just never know. Cheryl, with a hot tip, a hot heat pressing tip here, wear your own products at shows. Absolutely. 100%. I didn't put that in here, and you get huge kudos. High five, Cheryl, for a great tip in there. Yeah, Tim says we have fired merch teams on site for ignoring people. Absolutely. And that's like when I talked about, like, if you're planning and you're like, yeah, I'm going to need somebody to bring to the show. Number one, it has to be somebody who's friendly and approachable and has no problem working. Because like, it always sucks when you're hiring somebody and they've been on smoke breaks, or they're in the restroom, or they've been at the concession stand 6 times already. Like, Are they allergic to actually being in the booth? Is there something here that I should be worried about for my health, right? Like, that was a joke. But yeah, and you also want to make sure they're trustworthy, because they're going to be dealing with customers and representing your brand. And they're also probably going to be handling money and customers' credit cards. You do not want them stealing from you or your customers. Bad look. So hire somebody trustworthy, and hire somebody that you know is going to, at least, you don't have to be super extroverted. You don't have to go above and beyond. Literally, a look, a smile, a hello, any kind of greeting goes way farther than you could ever think, right? So yeah, Jose, I think that I'm always shy starting, but then I just, once I get started, can't shut up, right? Yep, that's how it usually is. And you get in this rhythm at shows, at events, where, like, I don't know, there's just a buzz about it. Everybody's just excited to be there, right? Everybody's just excited, and so you could get excited too. So yeah, Kathy says, yeah, she's just talking about how lucky she's been to sell out of a certain size or color, but take a notebook to write down information for additional colors. That's a great tip. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I just want to make sure there's not anything else in here that I am missing that looks like Mike didn't really get to. I'm trying to go through real quick, so I'm sorry if we missed your question. Again, we get the entire transcript out, so if there's something in here that we missed during this live webinar, we'll even reach out via the email that you signed up and say, like, hey, sorry we didn't get to this in here, but here's the answer, here's a link or something like that we could help out. Yeah, sometimes event coordinators want to go to rapport with you before they are open to negotiating blocking competition. Yes, if it's just your first year and you're like, we want to be the only t-shirt people, and they're like, well, we had 3 last year, so they kind of have the first pecking order above you. So Melinda says, best way to start inventory. I have a heat press. How much should I spend? A question is, how many colorways, how many styles do you want to offer? And what sizing and kind of where you're selling is a great way to start looking at that. If you're going to be printing on demand, say for like an Etsy store, spending $150 to $200 on blank apparel is going to be more than enough. So you have 3 or 4 maybe options of every colorway and size. And so then you're able to continuously reorder. Of course, that gives you a little bit better visibility when you're doing online stores just to start out, right? For printing on demand for that low risk. But of course, if you're going on site at events, it really depends a little bit more on the inventory for how many attendees are going to be there. But yeah, gauge 15 to 20%. I mean, 15% if you want to be like super conservative on the low end of like, how much are you going to sell? You know, like that is the low end. And then like, yeah, 25% of the general attendance if you want to go on the higher end. If you go higher than that, congratulations. What a great opportunity and what a great show for your business and brand. Let's see. Oh, Lindsay, first stalls webinar I attended, and it was amazing. Yeah, absolutely. We are happy to help. We do have just one more page of tips before I sign off here. But yeah, these webinars, I absolutely love them. So my number one favorite part of my job is helping out decorators just like you. So I really enjoy giving these presentations, because I will say, with the apparel decorating industry or any industry in general, there is one thing that you cannot substitute, and that's experience. And sometimes that experience forces you to make costly mistakes of buying maybe too much inventory, or going to a show and forgetting about one of these things here, or not thinking about power. And you're like, oh man, right? So I have been around so much printing and been around so many activations, and I've been to so many events that, like, being able to share the experience, because a lot of this is built off my own personal experiences of what I've went through and what I've heard from other decorators with my over 10 years in the industry. I think it's coming up on like 14 or 15 now at this point, of being in the printing industry and printing apparel and selling apparel through merch, booths at band shows, and like all of these activations I've done. I worked with activations with Mountain Dew on the Dew Tour, when they would have the Dew Tour go around, and these large brands from even like little small, just like we went like a theater convention, right? It was like a whole bunch of theater convention. We did printing on site for them. So like that was with a heat press, right? That was probably 6 or 7 years ago now at this point, right? So like I've been there, I've learned from these mistakes. And if anything I could say helps you from making any one of these mistakes that I did along the way, then I think that I chalk this up as a success. So I'm very, very happy to be part of a company that dedicates so much of their resources to customer education. And that's why I absolutely love my job. And that's why anything I could do to help out, be it these webinars or anything in our YouTube channel or any education whatsoever that I could help your business out, I am 100% all for. So over on our YouTube page too, I will answer every single one of the comments myself. So every single day I go through and answer all the comments because I'm doing the content and I'm presenting it and I am on screen when you're watching me. So I want to be able to provide you the answer as if I was just continuing the video and being able to offer my expertise, my experience, and my knowledge of the printing industry and everything that kind of surrounds it, right? The marketing opportunities and the design and everything else like that. So I am 100% dedicated to your guys' success. It is why I am here. And it is why I wake up and drive into the office every morning. And it's awesome to hear this stuff from you guys here in the webinars too. And it's great to meet you and hear your stories. I love hearing the challenges that you face because it helps me help other people and help you too. But I also love sharing the successes with you when, like I talked about going to Utah and just visiting Justin, who's a decorator who started with a silhouette and a heat press in his living room. And now he has 13 employees and he's making a difference in his community. And like, that stuff is awesome. And so if I could just play one little tiny part to help support that for you, I'm floored to be able to do so. So the last tip here, we got sidetracked a little bit, but the last tip here right now is bundles. I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier that like buy one for 20 or two for 30. They're gonna be like, I'll get one for my sister. It's only $10 more. Your profit margins are already making $10, $12 a shirt. So you're still making plenty of profit, but you're moving more inventory now, right? Like a bundle here, like buy a t-shirt, like what we're seeing. This is a rolled up t-shirt with a hat, with a hang tag on it, right? Talking about those extra branding opportunities. So you get the hat and you get the t-shirt. The t-shirt's $20, the hat's 15. Maybe you get both for 30, $32 or something, right? So you're saving money and people are like, ooh, it's just that selective pricing model. Like how when Starbucks says you could buy, I'm going to get them tall, a grande or a venti, right? So small, medium, or large, right? And you're like, I just really want a medium. But you see, it's only a little bit more upgrade for a lot more coffee. And you're like, you know what? I'll go ahead and get the largest size then. I'll get the venti, the large, right? So it's all in that pricing structure. So being able to offer these combo deals, the bundles, the buy two, get one free, right? You are covered in your profit margin. You're just moving more inventory, right? So it's a great way to build extra profit, to build increased value. It's a perceived value for your customer, and you are profiting more with revenue. Tim says, I love bundles, do them at every show. Tim knows what he's talking about, right? You guys were absolutely fantastic here in the webinar with sharing all of these ideas, helping each other out, and making me get ahead of myself sometimes, but I'm all in favor for that. But I absolutely, absolutely love it. So, perfect. Let's get a coupon to order transfers. Francis wants the coupon. We don't have a coupon here today. I'm sorry. No offer for any samples or coupons or discounts here today. Just knowledge, right? Free knowledge. So of course, hats, hoodies, extras, whether it be a tote bag, like I mentioned, like with my band, we would do the bundle deal with the CD. And then even throw in posters, right? Posters were like next to nothing to print. And that was another free thing that sometimes we would use. Hey, come get a free show poster. We'll even sign it for you. They're limited edition. Come get a free sticker. Whatever it is to bring people into the booth is important for you to keep in mind. So that personalized experience too is going to be extra revenue. If they say, well, I want mom on the back. Cool. It's an extra $5. That transfer cost you 60 cents, right? And you're charging $5 to put it on the back. It's just one extra step. Easy, right? Easy money that you could be making. Lori says, don't be afraid to upsell each sale. Absolutely. James, the name of my band, I don't know if I want to disclose that publicly. Oh, that's close. Oh, we're next time, okay? Maybe on a YouTube comment, I'll disclose that. Not right here, right now. Awesome. Thank you, Becky, for hanging out. But guys, this was absolutely fantastic. Thanks so much for hanging out today. We are here to help anytime. Just make sure you go over and subscribe to the Transfer Express YouTube page. I answer all of the comments over there. So if you ever want to ask me a specific question anytime, I'll get to it usually within 24 hours. Even sometimes I'll find myself sitting on the couch late at night just answering YouTube comments because, like I mentioned, I absolutely love helping you guys out, and I'm 100% dedicated to it. But you can email us here at Transfer Express, info@transferexpress.com. Call us Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., 1-800-622-2280. I will add that is 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here in Ohio in the Eastern Time Zone. You can visit us at trade shows like those I mentioned at the top of the show, or just go to transferexpress.com/events, or just go to the Transfer Express homepage, scroll all the way to the bottom, click on events, and you'll see virtual events. So upcoming virtual events, just like the next webinar that'll be in 2 weeks right here, along with our Toast to Transfers events, as well as online, or not just online, but live in-person events too. I would love to meet you, chat about your business, chat about your challenges, successes during the Impressions Expo in Fort Worth. Kathy Taylor, hope I see you there again. But I love hearing those stories. And of course, you follow us on all the social medias, the TikToks, the Instagram, the Facebooks. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope this was super meaningful and packed full of knowledge and inspiration that's going to help you absolutely crush an event coming up. Now, if you do absolutely crush an event coming up, head on over to the YouTube page and say, hey, thanks so much for the tips. Go to this video, because this video will be posted next week on our YouTube channel. Find this video, Printing at Events webinar, and say, Dave, these tips absolutely helped me. Thank you. Or say, hey, I ran into this specific challenge, or hey, the power wasn't good enough. So like anything like that. And so anything like that, let me know. Challenges, successes. I want to make some educational stuff for you to inspire and help your business succeed. So absolutely thankful for you guys hanging out here today. And we are here to help in any way we can. And we'll hang around for just one more minute here to answer any questions that may come in that we didn't get a chance to answer. So I see Kathy saying registration is open for Fort Worth now. Yep. So that is open there. Carrie, you are very welcome. Mel, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Antoinette and Charity, Jennifer, all happy to help you guys out. Carl, absolutely happy to help. Thank you for hanging out here with you. So Ryko in Lakewood on your way home. Hey, I absolutely would stop by. I'm making a note of that right now. Look at that. And I'll say, yeah. So yeah, Elena at Ryko. Yeah. We stop in sometime on the way home as I drive by, or maybe when I'm visiting my mom in Lakewood. But awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Well, you take care. Have a great rest of your Thursday. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Same place, same time, right here. Richard says, quick question. What generator do you recommend for events? I don't know the one offhand, but it is number one. It's one of the quiet ones. So it's one of those in like the plastic casing. So it's not super loud. It's not obtrusive, right? So just to hang out, and that could be like near your booth with just a little purr instead of a big chug. But check the specs to be sure it could run a heat press, because some of those little ones, the one at Harbor Freight, I think it was in like the $350 range. Great. But I will say one thing too. If you are just going to, a one event and you're not going to make it a habit to go to events, go to Home Depot or Lowe's and rent a generator. It is so much cheaper. It's like $45 to $60 a day. And that's much cheaper than buying a $600 or $700 generator. Sometimes those generators are like $1,200 that they are renting, and they are workhorses. They're more than enough of what you need, and super, super cheap. If you're just doing a 1 or 2 day event, go rent one instead of buying. Now, if you're planning a whole bunch of events, then it's time to invest in one for your business. So make sure, Wen makes some good ones. The Honda ones I'm a fan of, but the Honda ones could get a little expensive. So Tracy, there will be a replay on our YouTube page. I see Mike just chatted that in there as well. Kim, thanks for saying great webinar. Absolutely love it. Yeah, Lori says the Honda 3000 quiet runs like a charm. That's the one. Mel, the company that we went to in Salt Lake City was JC Pro Design. I do not believe he sells blanks, though. He just does contract decorating and retail decorating through his site. I think it's just jcprodesign.com if you want to check him out. Justin is an absolutely phenomenal guy, and the growth he's had with his print shop and the community that he's built with relationships there in Salt Lake City is, I don't know, it was staggering to see. I was so impressed, and it was so awesome. Absolutely awesome to be out there, and really thank Justin for letting us come into his shop and film and do everything else. So thank you so much, guys. I'm going to sign off. Until next time, happy pressing.